Guys, welcome back inside the Verge Studios for another episode of Pardon Our Promotion. What are we going to talk about today, Lindsay?
We are going to talk about show moments.
Interesting. Okay. All right. What do you mean by show moments? What's a show moment?
Essentially, you want to make every single element in your show a moment. So it's moment and element can technically be interchanged. But it's the feeling that you get from an element. It's the time, it's all aspects of the element wrapped into the moment.
So like a moment, like, like what you feel in the moment, right? Or when we call it a show moment, it's, what exactly, I know you said feeling and stuff like that, but what else are we talking about? Like, is it something that we create intentionally, or is everything have a moment, or is it certain things? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so you want to essentially make sure that when you're going through your script, you're not just checking boxes, right?
Sure.
And that's kind of what it means by making it a moment, making it mean something, making it have a purpose. Because everything that we do for a reason. We're not just doing it to do it. We do it for entertainment. We do it, because it affects gameplay. We do it because it has its time in the show. And the word moment, calling it a moment, kind of brings that more to life.
Nice. Okay. All right. What, give me an example of a show moment. Can you? On the spot?
Yeah, I can. Right on the spot. Right on the spot. So the first time that your team takes the field or the ice or whatever playing surface that you're playing on, that's a moment. That's a big moment. That's one of your biggest moments, in the show. So yeah, your host intro, the host welcome, that's a moment. Even something as small as an argument on the field, on the ice, that's a moment. Video board element, that's a moment.
Okay. So I suppose, like an ejection could be, an argument or an ejection. That's something that, we always want to capture and play on as much as we possibly can. A fight in hockey, always a good moment, if you will, right?
Right. How do you make that into a moment? So how do you take something like a fight, you can't control if it's going to happen or if it's not going to happen. How do you take that in that time and make it into its own moment?
Well, you obviously think ahead, you think through the potential of that happening. So you have a plan ready to go, scripted out if it does happen. I think they call those as happens, right?
As happens.
Yeah, so, just having a plan, what if it's the song that you want to play when that's happening, the effect, any kind of soundtrack, video board graphics or any kind of graphics, what the cameras are doing, thinking through all the possibilities of, if an ejection happens or if this particular thing happens, this is what we go to, having that all planned out ahead of time. I think that, that alone helps capture the moment because then your crew is ready to go. They know what to expect if it does happen.
For sure. I think we can all say, we know that eventually an argument's going to happen on the field. Fights are going to break out, ejections are going to happen. So we can kind of pre-plan those for when they do. And they might not happen every game, but when they do, we're prepared. And I think preparation is really what makes a moment at the end of the day, right? We have to be prepared for anything to happen and making sure that we have every single aspect of that element pre-planned so that way we can give everything its moment.
What do you think about unplanned moments that happen? Are there any unplanned moments that happen?
Yeah, I think so, right? I think we've all had unplanned moments that.
So what do you do? What are your, I don't know, what do you do for those moments? You asked me, how do we let the moment, or how do we create the moment? Well, if the moment's there, how do we take advantage of it, I guess? How do you take advantage of it? What are some of the things that we can do to make an unplanned moment be more impactful than just happening?
Yeah, so Sound effects, those always help. I think you have to be quick on your feet, always paying attention, obviously always looking out for those little things that can be moments, and then just making sure that you act quick on them, right? Do you have anything specific?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think through, some of the things that I would do. Obviously, letting the moment actually happen and
it's important.
Celebrating it. So, regardless if you're prepared or not for said moment, but letting it play out so that you do get the full effect. Don't not moving on to the next element too quickly, or changing the subject, if you will, by showing something unrelated on the video board. That's really just letting it happen, so that with the crowd we can see their reaction and we can play off their reaction a little bit. A lot of what we do as show callers and producers is reading the crowd, reading how they're taking in a scenario that's happening in front of them, and then adding to that emotion. And like you said, the easiest way to do that is, I think, through music and video board graphics. But then there's also, intended shots that your camera, you want to take live to the board or to your display, and, crowd prompts, depending on what kind of moment it is, I think go a long way in that too. So just having a standard, graphic package ready to go to capture that moment. If you're in an arena for hockey or for whatever arena sport, lighting's a huge way to capture an emotion or the moment. But yeah, those are kind of the other things that I would think about if it's an unplanned moment or an unplanned element within your script, or within the game that just kind of developed. Sometimes those are the best. I don't know that, I'm trying to think of an example, but I don't know that I have one. Do you have any examples of an unplanned moment that you captured, maybe? No?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure it's going to come to me before this ends. But I was thinking about something that you said, and I think it's just letting something have its moment, like giving it its time. And I think so often, when we're in the live show itself, it's easy to get caught up in, okay, well, we have this to do, and then this to do, and then this to do next. But just making sure that you take a breath and let everything just kind of like pre-plan it, time it out, and obviously don't go over your time, but make sure you're planning the timing for each element to have its moment.
So obviously in baseball, we're thinking of home runs, double plays, outs, big outs, walk-offs, big moments. What are some of the pitfalls that you've seen? One thing that I see all the time is teams moving to activate a partnership or sponsorship too quickly, and it cannibalizes the moment that they have in front of them. So they're not able to capture it because they went into another graphic or a PA read about a sponsor that sponsored the home run. When in reality, we can come back and hit that after the moment's played out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is one of the biggest things that you see teams doing is the sponsorship aspect of a big moment like that. Like you said, the home run, that's just an instant moment killer, I think, like doing those PA reads. But you just have to let it play out and then do the all of the celebratory, and then give the sponsor their time, because your sponsor's not getting anything out of it anyway, because everyone's so excited that the home run just happened. Right. So they're not even really paying attention to what's being read or said or, what's on the video board. They're excited. They're living their own moment. So nobody's really winning from doing that.
That's actually really interesting, because it makes me think, like, do fans realize if we've cut a moment short or if we've rushed a moment? Obviously, they're going to know if we rush something. If it seems rushed. But, the moments that we're talking about here are kind of like, the between the lines elements that aren't really scripted. So I don't know that they notice it too much, but they will feel it'll feel different to them. They won't probably be able to tell you why or that it even felt different, but it will be different for them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when it's rushed, I don't know if they necessarily are like, oh my, they're rushing through their script. Right. But when it's slowed down and you let it live, they feel it.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it's a subconscious thing that your crowd is just going to have a better experience if you let those moments play out. But yeah. Interesting.
What is the importance of making, just making the most? I know we told that we should let the moment play out because it's good for the experience. But, are we trying to wait for anything specific? How do you know when the moment's over? Like, what tells us that?
Yeah, I don't really know if there's a right or wrong answer to that. I don't know if there is a time when it's like, this moment is over. I think you kind of set that. You set the pace of the moment. I wonder how many times we've said moment this episode, but you do. You kind of set it yourself, and you have to just know when is right.
There's definitely a wrong answer because we're talking about cutting it short. Right? So I think, in my opinion and from my experience, when I'm done with the moment, so is everybody else, and we can move on.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's how
but yeah, that's what I mean whenever I say there's no right or wrong. It's kind of like if you're the producer, you produce the moment. So, your moment might be a little longer than mine or a little shorter than mine, but that's just the way that we produced it. So technically we make that. We make it. So
Moments. Thank you for spending this moment with us on Part in Our Promotion. If you have any questions about your show moments or you want to identify some of your show moments, send us a message. We'd love to connect. If you have ideas for other podcasts or other topics that we should discuss, also let us know. We'd love that as well. Anything else you want to talk about for a moment here, Lindsey?
I want our fans, our audience, to count how many times we said moments this episode and drop it in the comments.
Yes, exactly. Let us know. Well, that's all for us today. Thank you for spending it with us.
We'll see you next time.
Gage, I don't know if we can go back and edit that, but I just got lost in my words.
All about your fans.
Yeah,
there you go.
You gotta say it.
As always, it's all about your fans. We'll see you next time, guys and gals.